Hello everyone. Some of you might not know me because I literally just landed here like 3 months ago. But originally, I'm from India. You know the place where food actually has flavor? Except for the chicken breast, which is pretty good, right? Okay. But my name is Veron, so I go to SMU, I study business. Growing up, my parents used to drag me to church, and trust me, I hated it. And my mom was intense. When I got bad grades, she would gently remind me to work hard next time. But if I missed the church thing, she would take away my phone, take away my TV, and she would be mad at me for the whole day. So I made a decision, I'll go along with it. Up until I graduate and I leave the country, I'll just go along with it, and once I leave the country, I'll just forget church and everything that comes along with it. Then one day, during my high school years, God did something. My parents had again forced me to come to one of the Eucharistic adorations. Like we do at the summit. I had a powerful experience. It's hard to explain, but I heard a voice that said, "Give me a chance." It was like no other voice that I've ever heard before. It sounded peaceful. After that moment, I felt, God was no longer. After this moment, I felt God was no longer outside my life because I truly wanted Him to be a part of it. I started going to Sunday masses on my own. I even started reading the Bible. My parents were just shocked. It was like they had a stranger in their house. But fast forward to when I came to SMU in December of this year. As you can imagine, up until this point, I heard about CCO on campus and I wanted to be a part of it. I expected this would be, CCO would be just one of those church groups. We'd pray together, we'd go to church, we'd eat snacks and we'd leave. But then I met Roddy. Now the first time... That's a thing for Roddy. Yes, the first time I met him, it was like totally random. I was fresh on campus. I must have looked lost because this bearded, super friendly East Coast guy comes up to me and offers me to give an impromptu tour of the entire campus. Now, not gonna lie, but the first time I met Roddy, I thought it was one of the dads dropping their kids off the campus. I don't know if it was his beard. It was his beard or his confidence. I think probably a bit of both. Then later on, the same guy saw me curiously checking out the chaplaincy and invited me to take Discovery. Soon enough, I got him and Joe as my two faith study leaders. After the first 2 lessons of Discovery, I felt like I was just wasting my time because I had heard all these stuff before. I'd been taught all these things basically all my life. But in lesson 4, I learned more deeply about the results of sin and the reason for Jesus' crucifixion. I knew a lot about God, but this explanation of the cross was new to me. I entered Discovery with a foundation in Christ, but I realized that my foundation had cracks in them. After this, there was the summit. Originally, I was not planning to go to the summit because I had some schoolwork, which is ironic because I'm a business student. We usually don't do our work.
True!
But my faith study leader was able to convince me to get me there. I thought the night was just going to be like any other prayer nights that I've been to, but boy, I was wrong. The speaker said something that really shook me. He explained that we are the nails in Jesus' hands and we are the thorns on his head. Something about this hit me very hard and I broke down. I always knew that Jesus was on the cross because of our sin collectively. But for the first time, I realized that he was on the cross because of my sin personally. I also recognized that this sin was still in my life. I had years and years of unconfessed sins. I became acutely aware that there was a wall between me and God. And it was like he wanted to speak to me, but I just could not understand him because of it. So I made a decision. I stood up, I went to confess, and made my first ever honest confession. You see, up until that point, every confession that I had ever made, I was holding back many of my sins. But for the first time, I poured out everything. Immediately after, I felt so much peace. I felt light, blessed. It was a feeling I had never had before. I felt the power of God in me. I went up front to pray, and I could hear him speak to me. And still when I pray, the very same thing happens. Jesus has truly removed my sin, and I am experiencing a union with God like never before. I even see him working through me. I never would have expected that only after 3 months of being here, I'd be witnessing my faith in powerful ways. Like on our mission to New Brunswick this past month, where I saw God use me to change multiple lives. And I'm also excited for what's to come, including next semester, where I plan to lead my very own discovery. Coming into this semester, God has definitely was definitely a part of my life, but I can safely say that because of CCO, Discovery, people like Roddy, Joe, Cam, and Annika, God is in the center of my life. I am not the same person I was before, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you.